Good morning. It's a beautiful day here at Red Hen Racing. If you've been following the channel for any amount of time, you'll know how we broke the Supra.
Ooh! And there goes the control arm.
And if you're new here, welcome. We're glad to have you. So today is our first day. I guess technically not if you saw Tyler's video of us taking stuff apart. You said this was the easy part, right?
Yeah.
But it's the first day of rebuilding. We're gonna get this thing completely back up to par and ready for this rally season. We got a bunch of parts ready to go on, some of which I don't know what to do with. So today we're gonna go find somebody that knows what they're doing. This thing's gonna be roadworthy again very soon. And you guys are here to help, because moral support's the biggest part of that equation. And we're glad to have you. It's gonna be a good day. I'm Gavin, and this is Red Hen Racing.
Speed it up, 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 speed it up. Go faster, ayy. Go faster, ayy. Go faster, ayy. Go faster, ayy.
Oh. So first off, I need you to ignore the mess. We got a lot of projects going on right now, and look, I'm not the most organized person. All right, let's get you up to speed on the Supra situation in case you didn't catch Sealed Beam Rally Team's video on it. Basically, we broke these shit out of our... This isn't even the worst one. The worst one is still on the car. These trailing arms are really hard to find, and it was actually easier for me to just buy a whole parts car that had decent suspension on it. So these trailing arms are off of the parts car, and we've already taken the first steps at getting them stripped down and restored. So we're gonna be recoating these parts in this Pour 15. And my paint guy specifically told me you don't want good, clean, bare metal, that you want it to still have at least a vague layer of surface rust in order for this stuff to adhere. It sounds counterintuitive to me as a paint guy. Prep is the most important step of any paint job. I don't know. I've never used this stuff before, and I've never restored underside suspension stuffs before, so maybe it's okay. We'll see how it holds up. But now that they're cleaned up and stripped down, we've got the brake lines off, we've got the drums and the shoes and everything taken apart. It's time to go get new wheel bearings pressed in. And it's the day after Thanksgiving and all the shops are closed, but we're gonna break out our secret weapon.
You know the most destructive force in the universe?
Sugar.
Autism.
You like my fashion? Pretty sick, though. Found this on the side of the road. You got new ones?
Are they not reusable?
Usually not.
I don't have new ones. Oh, thank God. Jesus Christ, that motherfucker's loud. So if you can't tell, we're in a different garage now. Made it over to the home of Sealed Beam Rally Team because Tyler's better at working on old, rusty, dusty bullshit than I am. He's gonna teach me how to take apart wheel bearings today because I've never had to do that before.
I might be able to get a puller on this.
And then it shows using a slide hammer on the outside to pull the axle out.
Hey, look at that.
Is she biting?
No wrench or anything. It just comes out.
Coming off.
Oh yeah.
Neat.
There's your washer.
Anything we need to be careful of here? No, there's no
Just
bearings or anything.
throw it on the
that.
ground, man. For this, I think a slide hammer is the option.
So we got the axle stubs off the back of both of them. Now we just gotta slide hammer this ought to do it. All right, let me hit it with my purse.
Put your back into it.
Seen any movement?
Go. So that's it. You just pull that out, right? Like
Per the tech manual, this is what we're supposed to be doing. That's why I thought it needed to press out from the back. You're saying that's not logistically possible?
No, that's I mean, you're supposed to be able to do a wheel bearing on the car. So when this control arm is installed, you should be able to pull the hub out and grease the bearings and put them back on. So there's no reason to use a press on that. Plus, what are you gonna press on? Are you gonna press on the?
I don't know.
You'd have to put one side on here, so you'd have to press against this little dust shield thing, and that's not gonna work very well. Yeah, there's nothing you'd even press to because you'd fuck up this edge right away.
Well, it's your turn to jerk it.
I can jerk it just fine.
Rad. still not jerking out, so we're gonna try giving her some heat.
It's gonna take a while.
All right, should be pretty hot by now.
About time to crank the hog.
Let's crank that hog.
Oh my God. I might need to take these things to work. Get help with them at a pro shop. This is ridiculous.
You want to?
We can't get the damn thing to move at all.
Can you press it?
There's nothing to press against on the face outside. What would taking them to work do? What do you have different at work that might help?
Guys with 20 years experience doing this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, they have an air hammer and stuff there, so they can.
All right. Well, we're gonna leave these with Tyler, and he's gonna take them to his shop and just make witchcraft happen. And in the meantime, while we're waiting on that for a few days, let's go home and make some progress on the car so it's actually ready to receive these. Press on.
Press on.
All right. So we're back in our own garage now, and as you can tell, we straightened up a little bit. It's not as trashed as it was yesterday.
Look at all this floor space. So much aerobics in here. So many activities.
So anyways, we're making progress on getting those trailing arms ready to go back on the car. And one of the biggest obstacles I was not looking forward to was brake calipers. The caliper brackets, if you saw Tyler's video, you saw me sand the heads of these off. We Control-Alt-deleted the heads of these bolts because they were just seized and stripping. And it took us a minute, but we figured out how to get them out. And it's definitely the easiest and most orthodox way to do it, because that's what we do around here. So we tried, you know, usual routes like vice grips and broken bolt removers and stuff, and that didn't work. What does work, oh, dang old finger sander, I love this thing. Basically what we're doing is we're sanding 2 flats onto the stud. What? What's funny? What's funny?
Nothing.
What's funny? Nothing's funny here.
I'm a very serious goose. I'm very serious.
So basically, on the other one, we sanded 2 flats for a pipe wrench to be able to grab, because otherwise it was just not able to bite and slipping on it. So sand a couple of flats on there to make it shaped like that, and then pipe wrench it off. That's the move. There we go. And just boop. Hey. Boop. There she goes. Super easy. Like and subscribe for more tips and tricks. Got her moving, hit her with some PB. That damn peanut butter blaster. That's the good stuff. She needs the juice. Boop. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. All right. We got a bracket. We got another bracket. We got a caliper. And we got another caliper. And I made sure to put tape and write which one was the driver. You know, in case I forgot, and also somehow managed to put the wrong one on the wrong side, even though you can't. So these things are pretty crusty and rusty and dusty still, so we're gonna clean the shit out of them, and there's not really a rebuild kit available for these, but they were working just fine on the car already. There's nothing wrong with the calipers, so I'm not worried about rebuilding them particularly. We're just gonna get them cleaned up, and they seem to have been painted by an asshole at some point, so we're gonna repaint them.
You're just another asshole.
Yeah, you see this? It only has a bolt on one side. It goes onto this slider here and then swings down and bolts at the bottom. It only has one bolt. Weird. Oh man, I like that. That's what good macaroni sounds like.
You need a sandblaster.
We might need a sandblaster. Like, I really wish I had one very often. Anybody that's ever used one of those little dinky handheld ones, leave me a comment. Let me know how those worked for you, because we don't really have room for a sandblast cabinet in here, but those are kind of appealing if they actually work. This was a part that Tyler wanted us to be able to replace, and I don't know anything about. Oh, hey. Got lots of little dumb hardware, and this is why I hate drum brakes. There's so much stuff. But lots of new springs and clips and cups and pins and shit for all of that. New bleeder screws are on the way. Thought about replacing the brake lines themselves because they're kind of crusty, but they're fine. Burn that bridge when we get there. It is time to get that other trailing arm off of the car, and I explained in Tyler's video how these work, but you probably weren't there for that. It uses these stupid clips. This goes up inside the trailing arm, and it uses this squid clip to retain it inside of the plate. And all 4 of these little tentacles have to get compressed at the same time for it to boop out. And whoever designed that is not invited to my birthday party. We probably should remove some stuff off the car now. We need to go to the store to get paint for these, but we also need to go to the store to get hardware that I know we need to replace off of the car that we're about to break. So we should probably break that first and go get all of it at the same time. I guess we should get suited up to go outside. What is it today? Alexa?
She doesn't listen.
Women.
Alexa, what's the temperature?
Right now, it's 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, expect a low of 8 degrees.
This is bullshit. Suit up! I also need socks, because this is not a whole sock.
What are those?
It's like 12 degrees and it's fucking dumb. So show you the squid clip here. So that's where that squid clip lives. The cable comes up under and in the backside, and we have to compress all of those tentacles, and it's gonna be fun. It's fine. It's fine. It's gonna come right off super easy. Why is it so fucking cold though?
It's not warm.
It's verified, not warm. We hates the squid clips. Oh. Stupid clip. Now we can drop the trailing arm, pop the shock off, and pop the axle out of its home, and then we can cut this thing out of here. Oh, let it go. Can't stick to the hub anymore. Let it go. Ow, that hit my finger.
I saw that. How'd that feel?
It was less than desirable, honestly.
Is that minorly inconvenient?
Come on, loose little buddy. Ow. Ooh. I need less of a hammer. That's too much hammer for this job. Ow! Fuck. So we can't get the axle to pop out with leverage alone, and I'm thinking maybe it doesn't have enough wiggle room because the trailing arm is still bolted in place. Because we did drop the trailing arm on the other 3 before trying to separate the axle. So maybe that creates some wiggle room that we need. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the trailing arm freed. There we go. All right, that's free. Now we just gotta get the axle free from it.
Just yank it off.
Why?
Pull harder.
All right, back to hammering. Yippee.
Many minutes later.
My hammering muscles hurt.
He needs some milk.
It's a very specific muscle group, the hammerers, the hammering muscles. I'm tired of hammering stuff. It's out! And as you can see, there's no particular reason that we're replacing this thing. We were driving on it. We were driving it like this. Oh, it feels like it's pulling to the right a little bit, I said.
Weren't you doing e-brake rips on that?
I paid for the whole trailing arm, I'm gonna use the whole trailing arm. So now that that's out of there, we can cut all 4 of the stubborn bolts that were holding them in place. My handy dandy Destructo disc. We're gonna engage our safety squints and get these cut on out. So while I'm cutting on those bolts, we're gonna get started on the sway bar too. This dinky little sway bar under here.
That's that's pretty average. I don't.
It don't stop much sway. It still sways a lot.
Hell yeah! Woo!
While we're doing all of this refreshing and rejuvenation of all the stuff that we're doing, we're also going to be upgrading a little bit. And one of the biggest things I'm most excited for is sway bars. Let me show you what we got. So we're going to be going with these sway bars from White Line. They're one of the few companies that still supports this chassis, and these are pretty good ones. We've got an 18 millimeter in the rear. The front is a 27 mil. A lot beefier than what's already on it, and really going to tidy up the way this thing handles, because it's a wobbly bitch. It has all of the body roll, and we don't like that around here. So we get those old rusty ones out, get a nice shiny new one in there. What a bitch ass sway bar. Alright, so this is our new 18 millimeter. Not the beefiest sway bar you ever done seen, but we still want it to be pretty compliant for rally purposes. We're not trying to stiffen it all the way up. What do you think? Can you make that sway at all?
It's pretty stiff.
I can bend it a little.
If this is a 18 mil, that guy is like 12. This is a little baby sway bar.
It's a lot. If I can do that with my hands, just think about all that weight with that car.
This should help reel a lot of that body roll in, make it handle a lot more predictably. Yeah, it should really sharpen it up a little bit. That's gonna be nice. I wonder how bad a time Tyler's having.
By sheer coincidence.
We had quite the challenge getting the stub axles out of here, so I was actually able to grab a air hammer, slam those things out. Bearing here is not looking too good. She's pretty rusty, so we're gonna have to replace that. This one looks pretty good, so we might decide to put that back in. We'll have to look at the race first. If we look at her race here, it's kind of hard to see it right now. That looks pretty good, actually. We can get by with this one. This race looks pretty good. This race, yeah, there's a little bit of line in there, so we're not gonna mess with that. We'll definitely replace this bearing and race. We'll go take the rest of the stuff down, probably get these things stripped down pretty good and try to put it on the press if we need to.
All right, it's been a couple of hours of fucking with stuff off camera. Let me get you caught up. So first and most importantly, we got a new bench grinder that actually works. This guy I literally bought at an antique store for $5 and it had no torque at all. So we've got a good one now. It's this
Say my name.
Robbie brand.
Goddamn.
I've already used it to clean up some things. These are the cam bolts that go in the trailing arms. They were pretty rusty and now they're not. These are the bolts that go into the calipers. They were pretty rusty and now they're not. And these are the bolts that hold the shocks to the trailing arm, and they're good now. Also, for the bushings for the car, because the trailing arm needs new bushings on both sides, the bushings that would go here and here, you know, if this guy hadn't been delicately removed. We went with Energy suspension bushings. I've used them before and been happy with them, but these are, oh, take a look. These guys I have no problem with. They've got the gold metal sleeve and we got brand new hardware. But these guys, which are the ones that those cam bolts go through, so they're set up such that they don't have an internal sleeve. They're a bigger inside diameter. And this is the sleeve that those cam bolts go through. And it would seem that it's intended for these to go in there, because that inside diameter is the same as this outside diameter. However, the shaft is skinnier than the head on them. So with them booped into place, the middle is squishable. And I have no idea if that's okay or not, but I find it weird. And Rock Auto does list some trailing arm bushings that we're gonna try. We're gonna order those and see if we like them better than these. And if we do, then we'll run whichever ones we like more. Also, got the brake calipers and their brackets. And we got a can of red caliper stuff. So we're gonna get these sprayed up. It's the next day, paint's dry. Next thing on the list is finishing out some more random hardwares that we need. We still need the bolts that we had to remove with the pipe wrench. So we gotta find a couple of those. And on the trailing arm itself, since we're pulling the axles and doing wheel bearings, the axle nut itself is not reusable. It's considered a one-time use only. We've got to figure how to get that guy out of there. I know Tyler's impact just yoinked it right off, so hopefully mine will do the same. Let's fuck around and find out. Alex is still asleep and this is hard to do one-handed. Stand by. All right, that looks pretty unstaked to me. Very cool. So in an effort to replace these, they're not listed on Rock Auto or anywhere else easily. So I'm having to like actually figure exactly what the thread size and pitch is and order any stakeable nut in that size will do the job, to the best of my knowledge. Everybody on the forum said it should be a 32 mil socket that results in a 26 1.5 thread. This was not a 32 mil socket. It was a 1 1/16, which calculates out to like exactly 27 millimeters. Let's see if I have a 27 to check. Let's see here. Closest I'm gonna have is a 24 mil. Certainly is not big enough, but it's not fucking far. And the next closest size that we have that is too big is a 1 1/4, which is way too big. We'll see how many millimeters that is. How many millimeters is 1 1/4 inches?
1.25 inches is 31.75 millimeters.
So it's certainly not the 32 mil socket that the internet said it would be. Damn internet, leading me wrong again. Ever since that one time, I just can't trust anything anymore. You know what I'm talking about. So since it's actually a 27 mil socket, this might be the other number I came across, which is 22 1.5 thread. So we're gonna go see if we can find any. So that's the shopping list for today. Whatever size nut this is, bolts out of the caliper brackets, and probably a haircut, because I like to look good for you. Yeah. See you in a little bit. How do you think Tyler's doing pressing out the bearings?
Come on. I've been learning stuff today, and one of the things I learned is that there's a seal under here. So if you take the stub axle out of the hub, you have to replace the seal. To replace the seal, you have to pull the bearing off. So both these outer bearings are getting replaced. I was going to try to pull it off, but apparently the way you do it is you cut the cage, and the cage comes off, and all the little rollers fall out. Then we got the inner race here. So you can cut around on that and then throw a wedge in there, split that open. That cracks open and you can kind of drive that off. So we got those out on this side, all clean. And then what we're going to do is install the new race and the bearing and the seal on here. And then when we put the stub axle in, that'll pull everything together. Ideally, you'd have this crush sleeve in there that would help you with that process, but we're going to do it with the old crush sleeve because you can't get them anymore. Also drove the old studs out on the vise and used a stud installer to put the new ones in. So this one is pretty much ready to go. I'm going to put it down here with the other stuff and we'll get this thing done. I do kind of want to take a look at this little rust hole here that looks like it really wants to become a big rust hole.
Meanwhile, back in the lowlands.
We're back from the store. We got a good little haul. Our axle nut. You saw that flicker, right? Our axle nut is a 27 millimeter. So we've got a big stupid 27 mil. I didn't verify, but I fucking hope it fits. Yeah, look at that, fits nicely. We found that this is 19 mil threads, 19 mil 1.5 thread pitch, which happens to be the same size as the fronts. See, I'm not fucking crazy, I know. So the spindle nuts in the rear apparently are the same size as the front. So I just changed the quantity on the Rock Auto order to be 4 instead of 2. It also looks like Alex straightened up out here while I was gone. He gets bored and cleans sometimes. And I feel like there's a tidy gremlin living in my house. I used to think that he sold his soul to a goblin under a bridge. But I'm thinking more and more these days that he is the goblin under the bridge. Also, we took a caliper bracket and sized up hardware for it. These are an M10 1.25 if you're curious. Got an order from the website. If you haven't been to redhenracing.com yet, go find yourself something neat. James in Knoxville got a thing going out today. Go get yourself one of these dope hoodies, or, you know, anything you do to help support the channel helps support the channel. I don't know where I was going with that. Thanks, James. It's on the way. Ka-chow. Fucking light.
My dad and I have been super busy getting ready for the Namaji rally, which we are helping organize. So he's helping me with this control arm here. You want to show me what's going on?
So we had a little tiny rust divot, and when I hit it with a wire wheel, it opened up to that size.
It's a pretty big rust hole for a clean control arm. We're gonna put a patch over everything that we can. This bolt broke off. It holds the brake hose, so I'm gonna weld a nut over that, but otherwise that's what we're dealing with right here. Looking pretty good. We got this cut out, and I'm going to start tacking it over here, and then I'll tack it more, let it cool off, and hopefully work my way over to this side where I can actually hammer it down to match. He needs a fair bit of clamping for us to get this fit and tight over here. Yeah, those don't look great. But what are you gonna do? Now I want to make sure it's welded all the way around this, so I'm gonna go turn the air compressor on so I have some cooling air, and go in probably 1/2-inch sections on different parts and cool it as I go, so hopefully it doesn't warp the whole thing. But I think it's going to be a lot stronger this way than it was before. We do have some pieces of rust in here. I saw a couple chunks in here, so Gavin's going to have to go in here and probably clean out a couple pieces of gunk before he paints it, because it's gonna they're gonna rattle around in there. So I'll tell him to do that. We're gonna get this thing out of here. We'll send it back to Gavin, and he can finish the rest whatever way he wants to. But I did my best on this, and unfortunately my best today isn't very good.
We just got back from Tyler's. We've got trailing arms that are disassembled. We've got axles, we've got stub shafts, we've got various baggies of hardware that I have no idea what to do with. And I'm gonna have to figure out how to put back together, because I'm not the one that took it apart, so I don't know what to do. Are you giving the dogs peanuts?
No.
So, hopefully all of that is very well covered in the tech manual, and we'll be able to get it back together, no problem. I think we're gonna go ahead and cut off for today. That basically concludes disassembly. If you're interested in seeing how all this shit goes back together, feel free to subscribe. Next day is gonna be a big one. We're gonna get this stuff going back together. Stop giving the dogs peanuts. We appreciate you stopping by, and we'll see you next time.
We out here doing hella gang shit.